not take long, but if they get out of Egypt.
I came here as a tourist, and now I'm considering the asylum, to file an asylum case. So how long it should take me to get approval, and how long it should take me to get green card? And if I get the green card, can I go back to Egypt to gather my things? Because when I came here first, it was not as bad as it is now in Egypt. So I didn't consider to stay longer than 5 or 6 months.
Well, we can file for an asylum, but it takes, first of all, you have to be out of status. Like when you come to the airport, they give you 6 months. So when you file, you have to file when you just gonna finish your visa. Now, it takes about a month to get an appointment for the interview from filing. Okay? Once you get the approval of the asylum, you have to wait 1 year, and then we'll file the adjustment of status, which is the green card. You can be in status and file for asylum, but it have a but to it, big but to it. God forbid they didn't approve you. They are not going to take you to court. They are not going to send you to court for one reason, because you're still in status. Court meaning the judge will hear your case again, and you are in deportation proceeding. But if you are out of status, they take you to court, because you don't want to be in limbo. We call it limbo status. When you are disapproved for asylum and your status is still good as a B2, as a visitor, you're not going nowhere. So we prefer that you finish. But anyway, this is a technical thing. Okay, if after he gets his green card, he's allowed to go to Egypt? No. I know people do it sometimes, but this is a no. I met with the people in Virginia. Anyway, they process the green card for asylees, and they told us if they find out that the applicant got their green card and went to Egypt, this is going to be denied. They're going to take it away from them. Also, there's another step. The officer at the airport have the right to say, thank you very much, take the green card, and send you back.
Those are possibilities that can happen.
Yes.
What happens when you're granted asylum in the United States? You remain an asylee for 1 year. Or actually, you could stay an asylee for the rest of your life. But after 1 year, you're eligible to apply for adjustment of status, and you get your green card through the asylum process. If you go back to Egypt, there becomes a question as to whether or not your asylum claim was valid. Because if you were given asylum in the United States, it's because you fear going back to Egypt. So why do you go back to Egypt? Now, I understand that there are legitimate reasons to do that. But when you come back into the United States and you're inspected by a Customs and Border Protection officer, and they find out that you've gone to Egypt, they are going to question you. Why would you go back when you've just gotten asylum? All right, that could cause problems. You could be put in removal proceedings, but it's not a guarantee 100% that would happen. It's a possibility. Okay, it's not 100% across the board, because nothing is 100% for everybody. If you had a legitimate reason, it's possible that you could re-enter the United States. But you have to be very, very careful when you go back to a country that you've sought persecution from, or you've sought to seek.
There's another tier to that. There is another part to that. Let's say you went and came back and nobody questioned you. When you come to do your citizenship, they're going to take it. And they're going to question. And a lot of times they put you in deportation proceeding.
That is a possibility. That could happen. It doesn't happen in every case. But again, it always raises flags when someone is granted asylum in a country, and I'm talking about the United States. You're granted asylum in the United States, and you travel to the country that you sought, the reason that you sought asylum. It's always going to raise questions. And could you be put in removal proceedings? Yes, that could happen. But is it 100% across the board? No, it's not. It is a possibility. Yes, ma'am. I hesitate to do that because every case is different and it's going to be looked at differently, and I would hate to give you examples that then someone would use and have problems with because it's such a sensitive issue. So, yes.
When I came here, as I said, I came as a tourist. And then things became worse and worse, as we all know. So I'm now considering the asylum. Can I go back to Egypt first before filing the asylum case and arrange my income and so on, and then I come here and apply for the asylum, which as far as I understand, I have to stay in the States for 3-4 years continuously without being able to go back to Egypt.
You can certainly leave the United States. No one can tell you you cannot leave the United States. Certainly you can do that. But then coming back into the United States might not be as simple as you might think, because you're not coming back to the United States as a tourist. So you have a passport and you have a tourist visa. And that's to come here as a tourist, not to immigrate to the United States, not to come into the United States to apply for asylum. It's strictly as a tourist. Right. If you're admitted to the United States, and again, every time you come into the United States, you're inspected by an officer, and that is extremely important. Just because you have a passport and a visa does not mean you're going to be admitted to the United States. A visa is permission to knock on the door. It's permission to It's permission to knock on the door and say, can I enter the United States? There's never a guarantee. And that's the same thing with having a green card. Your green card is your visa to come into the United States. All right? The purpose of your entry into the United States is always questioned. Do you have the right documents for the purpose for which you're entering the United States? If you're a tourist, do you have a passport and a tourist visa? If you're a returning resident, do you have a green card? You have to apply for admission every time you enter the United States.
And I will address your issue later on when we sit together. Okay?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, the asylum officer is not the officer that's going to make the decision as to whether or not you're admitted. That's a Customs and Border Protection officer. It's a different branch of Department of Homeland Security. So you would have to convince that officer at the port of entry that it was a bona fide trip. And so there's no guarantees.
You're putting yourself in a lot of danger if you do that.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a question here. We have a question.
Speaking of re-entry, if a person has a green card, by law, how long do they have to stay outside the United States and be granted a readmission after that?
Strictly by the documents, it's 1 year. unless you apply for a reentry permit.
So if it's 1 year, why we're hearing that a lot of Egyptians now complain if they go to Egypt and they stay more than, let's say, 6 months, where they try to re-enter the country, they give them a hard time?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's the point that they're saying now you can only allow to stay 6 months out of the country and you have to come back after 6 months. Is it true?
The regulation states that after 180 days, we will question you.
A question is one thing, and
After 6 months, the issue arises is you're no longer residing in the United States. They assume that after 6 months, you're not a resident of the United States any longer. You're residing somewhere else for 6 months. So they question you. Yes, they put you in secondary. Yes, they wait till everyone else is finished and then sit down and talk to you and say, please explain to me and justify why you are no longer residing in the United States.
they have the right to tell you we're not going to readmit you to the United
Yes,
States?
they do. If you do not convince them that you're still residing in the United States, if you didn't give up your job, you didn't give up your home, you didn't give up anything, or if you did give up everything and you've just left the United States and been gone for over 6 months, 180 days, yes, they have that right.
Oh, I see.
No, it's two different things. One, they have the right to question you, but the card itself is valid if you're outside of the United States. It's valid for up to 1 year. And then regardless of the expiration date on the card, it's no longer valid for entry after 1 year. Right. Right. But it's after 1 year that the card itself is not valid for reentry. Right, exactly. I know there was a question, lady in the back?
No. Let's finish our
Want to finish the
presentation,
adjustment?
then
Okay.
take more questions.
Okay, so again, we've got an approval notice on an I-130. We're going to go back. Let's just finish this up, and I want to talk about unauthorized practice of immigration law, and then we'll continue to discuss your issues. So go ahead, Sarah. Okay, someone that's applying for adjustment of status in the United States, they have filed their application. It is very important that they remain in the United States until a decision is made on that application. If you depart the United States while your application is pending, you are considered to have abandoned the application. Now, you can work. The fee that you pay for adjustment of status includes work authorization, and it also includes a travel document so that you can travel. You have to have that travel document in hand when you travel, or again, you've abandoned your application. You have to ask for permission to travel if it's during that adjustment of status process. Again, if you leave the United States, your application is denied unless you have permission. We do security checks on everyone that's applying for any immigration benefit, regardless of the benefit. For the adjustment of status applications, we do fingerprint checks, we do name checks, and a variety of other checks with other government agencies. And they must be completed. The security checks must be completed before a decision is made on the application. Okay. We also do biometrics. Biometrics are where we capture your signature and your fingerprint and your photo. And that information is used to make the actual green card, because every green card has that information, a picture, a signature, and a fingerprint. Okay. At the time of the interview, we ask you to bring your original documents, because when you file your actual application, you've generally submitted copies. We ask you to bring your original documents, and we're looking for such things as are listed: birth certificates, divorce decrees, marriage certificates, decrees of a name change if you've had a legal name change. And we ask that all documents that are translated be translated into the English language. All foreign documents must be translated. Okay.
So I'll give you a little piece too.
Here, I'd love one. Those are, yeah. I don't have very many of ours, so let's just give out those. Thank you.